Hello and welcome to I Have a Story to Tell on ZFM 101.9. And I'm your host. My name is Fritz Baffour, and my guest today is a very special person because he's going to talk about a subject that sends Ghanaians crazy every time of the year, every month, every day: football. And this gentleman is so steeped in football. He comes from a football family. He has done football. He knows football history. And he's a wonderful raconteur. I'm talking about Kofi Bawuah. Kofi, welcome to I Have a Story to Tell.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Kofi, I was very pleased to meet with you. I realized that you happen to be a very good friend of mine. Bawuah of blessed memory, former chairman of Asante Kotoko.
Yes, sir. That's my father.
Yeah, that's really good because I remember when I came back to Ghana in 1981, I started working as a reviewer on the commentaries, football commentaries in Ghana.
Okay.
And so I went to Kumasi a lot of times to watch Kotoko play, though I'm not a Kotoko fan. And I met with your father and we became very good friends.
Yes, sir.
And it's also good because on this program, the first person on this program was the great sports journalist Ken Biyaku.
Wow.
He was the first, Uncle Ken, yes. He was the first person interviewed on this program, and it was a wonderful, wonderful program. But anyway, welcome.
Thank you so much,
Now,
Uncle.
I've talked a little bit about your dad, but tell me about yourself. Where were you born and all that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I pray, Uncle, you forgive me if I keep saying Uncle.
Doesn't matter.
Because that's how I refer to you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Yes, I was born in Accra in 1972. My mom, Emilia Safwa, she's from Insuta, the Mampon area.
Right.
And my dad, the late Bawuah. I started school at Association International School. Went from kindergarten up to class 7. We were living at Kotobabi at the time, and during the early years, we moved to Dansuman. That's down home around the Eddie Williams, WE in Kumsa area.
That's right.
Yes, sir. So I attended Presec, Legon, completed in 1989. And I went on to the UK just to get a feel of, because I used to go on holidays. I was named after Mr. Kofi Mpiani.
Right.
Right, the former chief of staff.
Yeah.
In President
A good friend of mine, too.
Yeah, so while he was in exile in the UK, I used to go visit.
I see.
Right, so after my O-levels, I went to try to see whether I wanted to stay in the UK, but the UK really wasn't for me. I came back to Ghana, and I went to the US, went to Rutgers University. I did 2 years of Rutgers, had an associate's. I came out and then tried my hand at business. Where at the time, that trend had started where what we used to call them accident cars, salvage cars,
Right,
were being sent to Ghana. You buy them with maybe a low dent in the back, come fix it, and sell it for. And I also did some insurance with the President Ochihine, Osajifo Amoti for repaying.
right.
He had an insurance company in the U.S. and I worked with them for a little bit. So I came back to Ghana late 1999. I just wanted. I started to build, and after the World Cup in the U.S., my interest in football, soccer was reignited. So I came back to Ghana and looked at the terrain. I wasn't happy. When I left, we had the Kofi Bedus, the Francis Kumi, the Opoko Friye, the Opoko Ntis, and most of them that I came back were not doing well.
I see.
So I had to look at football to see what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, I wasn't as wealthy as my dad, so I couldn't go into football management. And I decided to do coaching. And so I left Ghana to the Netherlands. I went to Holland. I'm a Dutch trained coach. Got an international license. My course mate, I mean, that's why I even met him and became really good friends. I wanted to ask him a very important question. That was Stephen Keshi.
Oh, the Nigerian.
Yeah, the late Nigerian. Very, very, very nice gentleman.
Right.
I was mad at him because I remember the story that he put Odatelamte in the back of a Nissan and drove him across the border.
Really?
Right, to Anderlecht. That's how Odate.
Oh, I see.
Right, Stephen Keshi was instrumental. So when we went coaching, I wanted to ask him why he did that. Because ironically, in 1989, when Ghana went for the first under-17 in Scotland, my dad's friend, Mr. Ntrujemfi, was the one in charge of the Starlights team, the Starlets team. Right. And I was proper under-16. You know, I was in Presec. But then the games were being held in Scotland. And I used to go to the UK, and my dad said if I joined the team, that meant that I would have to repeat. I would have to do my O-levels the following year.
Oh, I see.
And I said no, because I was a very good footballer. Very, very good footballer in my days. So
I'm glad.
I played some coast football. So after that, I decided that, you know, I'll work with my dad. During that time, after I came back from Holland, I wanted to find out what to do, and I realized that my interest was in youth football. And, you know, the opportunities I saw that there was a problem there. Most of the guys playing youth football were as old as the ones in the Premier League. And, you know, I mean, you would call a footballer and you would ask him, how old are you? And he's going to straight away ask you what my football age or my... So I thought that we had to, you know, do something. Yeah. So I instituted the first youth tournament in Ghana, the Milek Under-19 football tournament.
Right.
I did that. There was a gentleman, I forgot his name. We used to call him Papa Richie. He was with the Ghana News Agency. I think he was also with Olympics at the time. He was a rep for Olympics. He helped a lot to put the tournament together. And that was the first time that Coach Adi, of blessed memory, Sam allowed Feyenoord to play in Ghana, because at the time he felt that he had the right ages and he wasn't going to pit them against, you know, old men claiming to be under 16s. So we had the first tournament, a youth tournament in Ghana. Prior to that, most clubs used to go outside to be seen. So we did that, invited scouts to come in. And now almost every 2-3 days, there's the tournament happening. You know, so after that, we also looked at Kotoko. Or Otunfo or Seitutu had just been installed. And together with a gentleman, Edward Ziga, and another guy, we put together the Otunfo Invitational Football Tournament, which was a classic tournament held in Kumasi. So after that, I also worked on the Ghana-UK relationship. I had a friend called Johnny Carmichael.
Yeah, John.
John, yes.
My very good friend.
Yes.
Lives in Bristol.
Yes.
You're around Bristol and Bath.
Yes. So Johnny, who I had done some work with during the CAN 2008.
Yeah.
No, prior to that, actually, Johnny came to Ghana. And he came with the Will Smith, the Ali team. The movie team.
You're right. And
when they wanted to shoot a scene at the Independence Square, that's how I met Johnny. So when we reconnected, Johnny spoke to me about the Arthur Wharton story, that there was a gentleman who had come, you know, who was from Ghana, from Jamestown, and was widely recognized as the world's first black professional footballer. You know. So prior to Johnny coming, you know, my dad and Mr. Kofi Mpiani, my uncle, they were in the airline business. I don't know if you remember Panaf.
Yeah, Panaf.
Panaf, yes. My dad was, yes.
The cargo airlines.
Right. They did commercial too. So when I came, Panaf was having problems. I tried to help my dad revive it, but yeah, he didn't want to do business at the time. I think he wanted to enjoy his retirement. And then after that, we looked at Tema, because Johnny also spoke to me. I mean,
Greenwich. Yeah.
About Greenwich.
Yeah.
So we looked at the link between, Ghana, Tema, and Greenwich. Tema being the center of the Greenwich Meridian line.
Yeah.
We looked at that, and I instituted a game between the Ghana Parliament and then the UK Parliament. So during CAN 2008, we brought the UK parliamentary team to Ghana. If I'm not mistaken, Akofis, I think we met you at the at the Jamestown Manchester Palace.
Yes,
right.
Because the Jamestown Manchester happened to be my mother's elder brother.
Well, I remember vividly, Ako. Yes,
Yeah.
we came there with the parliamentary team.
Yeah, and I was interviewed.
Yes,
Yeah.
to come speak to them, and we did a little documentary on that.
Yeah.
So after that, they donated £15,000 to SOS in Tema, which we were very proud of to have been, able to bring it. And then the mayor of Tema at the time, I think Mr. Annan,
Annan,
in order to strengthen the UK Tema links, donated 3-acre land. And we're expecting Greenwich to, because they had the facilities, they knew how to. So we wanted them to do like a football center for us, but then they materialized. So after that, I kind of got a bit discouraged because we put in a lot of money and did a lot of work. At the same time, we also brought MTV, right, to shoot the social side of CAN 2008. That's the social activities around
it. Yeah.
Right. And then they also brought some footballs that were donated by Abramovich that we gave out. So after all that, I said, listen, let me leave football for a while. My dad had a construction company, owned a stone quarry at Salt Pond.
Yeah.
Right, so I joined him, did some work, and then Johnny came back.
Hold that thought.
Sure.
Well, you've talked a little bit, and I'm very happy that you're here on this program.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking to Kofi Bawuah, who is a football enthusiast. I've now found out that he's a coach. He's actually managed football events and everything. So he's a dyed-in-wool football man. And he's been telling us his little story. His father was the chairman of Kotoko when Kotoko won the Champions League, the African Champions League, for the second time in 1983. I was there in 1982 when they lost the final, and I remember Jerry Rawlings
came in
helicopter, and some of the wags and supporters were furious because they believed the helicopter had blown away all the little juju things that were to help Kotoko win.
Yes.
And I realized football is not just about playing on the field, but there are other things too. Anyway, Kofi, I'd like you to tell us what your first musical selection is. To break the narrative, we always play music. So what's your first song?
I believe I said Chinchibia Dimewu by Alaji K. Frimpong.
Okay.
And this was music that my dad normally used to play on Saturday mornings when his brothers, J.C. Akosa, Major Kwame Asante, Mr. Mpiani, they came around after, hard week's work.
All right.
He had his Shivers Regal, with ice. and then they put on this music.
All right.
Yes,
so
sir.
let it go. I've got Ben Akbar with me.
To Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
my guest on I Have a Story to Tell. And he is a football enthusiast, a football raconteur. He's everything about football and business. So he's here with me, and he's been telling us about growing up in a football family. His father was the chairman of Sadiq Otoko in the 80s. He's traveled around a bit, and he trained as a football coach, which is a wonderful thing that I learned today. I met him when he came down with the Arthur Wharton team. Arthur Wharton, he'll tell us about it. I'm the one to tell you. So we'll go on to Arthur Wharton a little later. But right now he's telling us about when he went to do business.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
Yes, sir. We were in Salt Pond doing the quarry business, aggregates, and we provided material for the expansion of the Winneba to Cape Coast Road. Right. So it was during that time that Johnny got in touch again, Johnny Carmichael, and he was like, Kofi, I've got the story. Brilliant story, I think that you should.
Let's talk about Johnny Carmichael a bit. He's a British guy who was born in Ghana.
Right.
Went to school in Ghana.
Right,
His father worked in Richchurch.
Right.
Went to school in Ghana.
Yeah.
I knew him very well, and I lived near him in Britain. So,
yes, very instrumental. I think he was the Millennium Commissioner. He put together with the Mayor Ashite at the time in Tema. Nyama Ashite to be able to get them connected.
Right.
Greenwich
I actually interviewed. I was interviewed by. I interviewed one of the famous British. What was his name? It'll come to me.
Okay.
Anyway, I was very much part and parcel of that one.
Yes, sir.
With Prudence.
Yes.
Prudence.
Yes.
That's
Definitely right.
Yeah.
So afterwards, we informed. Immediately Johnny told me about the Arthur Wharton story. I said, "Well, this is incredible. How come Ghana doesn't know about the story?" And he said, "Well, you know what? This was an effort to make sure that nobody."
Tell us about Arthur Wharton, because you mentioned his name,
yes,
but
sir.
Ghanaians are not sure of who you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Arthur Wharton is the first black professional footballer recognized worldwide, the first person to have run 100 yards under 10 seconds, recognized by the IAAF. He was born in Jamestown, went to Infantsipim School. His dad was a Methodist priest. His father's church is the Wharton Memorial Church in Jamestown.
Right.
He originally went to the UK to train as a missionary, and he left that and went into football. He played for clubs like Preston North and Sheffield United. And he also, like I said, did the 10 seconds, 100 yards in Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
So, looking at how the story had been kept, deliberately kept from the masses, that they wouldn't know that back in those Victorian days, there was a black guy from Ghana running faster than all of them, doing all sorts of sports. So, if you look at modern day sport, we'll take football as an example. We're still facing things that Arthur Wharton faced during those days. Racism is very high. Just recently, Antoine Semenyo, on the way to take a corner kick, got some monkey taunts and stuff. So we felt that the story was a powerful story that Ghana needed to know. So we've been working on that together with my partner in the UK called Sean Campbell.
Right.
He originally set up the Arthur Wharton Foundation UK. Right. We did the Ghana part. So our first, this was to go to FIFA to let FIFA know about this gentleman. And FIFA has been very supportive. The English FA in 2015 erected a 17-foot statue at St. George's Park. That is where all English teams stay when they're training to play matches. And their reason for putting his statue there was that they believe that every English footballer who is wearing their national shirt should know about this gentleman and his exploits and his work that he did to pave the way for, players of color to play for the English team. Right. So we said, well, looking at Ghana, we've had serious problems, Uncle Fritz. Yeah. When you say Arthur Wharton, Arthur Wharton, that's not a Ghana name. Yeah. Then I had to always tell them, listen, we had a president called Jerry Rawlings.
Right.
So, Ghana is made up of different people from different areas. He's Wharton because his dad, And we found out that he was born on a Saturday. So we said, why not then put the Kwame in there so that at least then we can relate to Kwame. So we've been working with the British High Commission, trying to spread the story, using his name, working in Jamestown. Initially, we're working with Street Children Empowerment Foundation, where we use his story to empower the kids, to tell them about, the gentleman and his exploits, and to let them know that they had no excuses. If somebody in 1865 can go to the UK and get all these laurels, they, with the support of us, should be able to make it. So we've done some serious work. And as you know, Jamestown has very one of the highest prevalence of teenage pregnancy. So we felt that if we can use a story to bring, some form of information out of Jamestown so people get to know about the problem, then we will be doing well. So we've been in Jamestown. Just recently, we also started working in Nima.
All right.
This was just a football project. We just wanted to do football in Nima. But then, the irony was that we found out that the Muslim girls were more interested in playing. And, our story is fighting discrimination and all forms of racism. So
absolutely,
we felt that if the Muslim girls want to play, then this is an opportunity for us to use his name to empower them. So that's what we've been doing for the past year plus. Even though we're facing financial difficulties in the area, we're still pushing that.
So how do you go about doing that? What is the attraction, and
how do we go about?
What facilities have you put together for them? The people of Nima, the young ladies.
Okay, at the moment, Uncle, we are soliciting for funding to level the pitch. I mean, where they play, anytime the ball.
Where do they play?
There's a school called the 31st December Women's School.
Right.
It was set up by former First Lady
of
Blessed Mary, Nana Kunedo Ajuma Rawlings. And since the 31st December Women's Movement was no longer there, their sources of funding has been quite difficult. I think they were placed under the Ghana Education Service. Right. Where they actually play, Uncle, when the ball goes out, it never comes back. Yes, it doesn't, because there's a tracking company behind the school, and I guess they'll tell you that the track took off with the footballs. Oh. So we are soliciting support to be able to fence it, and then, if possible, put a little AstroTurf for the young ladies to be able to play.
Excellent.
Right. Uncle, it's the 160th anniversary of Arthur Wharton, and we felt that it was relevant this year, looking at Ghana football. I mean, there's a lot being said. We've been to the World Cup 4 times, 5 times. But Uncle, if you get a Ghanaian kid, even Mohamed Kudus, and you ask him about someone like Akwete Ama, or even Jones Atukwefio, Razak, he might not even know them.
Yeah.
Right, because we've only looked at the playing of football. We haven't looked at the education part, the historical part, and that these stories are very, very important to the children growing up, that they get to know that once they get into this position, especially now where they are paid huge sums of money, that they have to use their image and their fame to do good for their people, not just for themselves.
Right.
So we felt that it was time that we put, and with the governments, former governments, Beyond the Return initiative, and then the present Black Star experience, we thought that it was excellent. This is the time that Ghana should have a football museum. So for the 160th, our express aim is to lobby FIFA, CAF, UEFA, IAAF, all the international bodies, so that we can put a befitting museum in Ghana, where, when people come for December, the diaspora is coming December to remember. They will remember our sport also, because it's not just the Arthur Wharton story. There's a lot of people, Uncle. I mean, not just sports. I mean, not just footballers. They are referees. They are technical men. They are masseuse. There's a gentleman called Mr. Asamoah. He was a masseuse for the Black Stars from about 1978 till about 2003 or somewhere. These are people, Uncle. People who have kept Accra Sports Stadium. There was a gentleman there who was the groundsman for years. There's stories that needs to be told. So we felt that the football museum would come and it would help educate the young ones coming. And also, if the pinnacle of a footballer's career for a Ghanaian football is to play in Europe, then they are definitely going to face racism. Right. So we don't understand why the training of footballers, they are not told about the fact that they're exposed to that and given tools to be able to fight that. so that, these things, because some end up, hurting themselves, having mental problems because of the racist abuse that they get. Not everybody is equipped, so we need to give these kids skills to be able to go. So that's why we intend to put together the museum, so that, schools can even come for tours where we can show them matches and show them history of Ghana football.
Very sad, because, growing up, it was the schools who promoted football and sports.
Yes.
Because, some of the greats that we mentioned,
yes.
I know that the young ones are, but Jones Atukwefi was an academic.
Yes.
Willie Evans, Akwete Ama,
Yes.
Walter Yanka,
Yes.
all those people were,
Yes.
and sports was associated with some form of learning, because you have to have some form of mental acuity in order to play good football.
Very much so, Uncle.
Yeah.
And you realize that, just like you mentioned, the Jones Atukwefios, the Sunday Ibrahims, they went on from football into coaching.
Coaching, yes.
Some went into management.
Yeah.
But then we realized that over here, it ends at football.
You're right.
And this is something that we need to look at, especially the modern game. There's no business for a child who hasn't been to school playing football. You don't speak English and you've been put in a French team.
Yeah.
How are you going to communicate? These kids need to be taught right from school, and they need to have something to fall back on, because, science has shown that, Uncle, if you're good in school, any footballer, the level, the quickness with which he needs to think, definitely he's good in school. If you look at Ronaldo, within a split second, he does about 15 tricks with the ball, with about 90 people screaming.
You've got to be sharp.
You have to be sharp, Uncle. You have to be sharp. And some of these sharpness comes from education, and we need to get back to that.
I'm really glad that you're saying this. This is, I have a story to tell on 101.9 FM, ZFM, and the program is I Have a Story to Tell. And my guest is Kofi Bawuah, who is talking to us about football. He comes from a football family. He's very deep into football. He's opening new vistas and new avenues about the impact of football and sport on society, and how sport can help society progress. Now, Kofi, we're not only going to talk, we're also going to listen to music. So what is the next one that you're going to listen to?
I believe the next one is the Lucky Dube, right?
Lucky Dube.
Yeah.
All right. Red FM 101.9, and the program on air right now is I Have a Story to Tell. I'm your host. My name is Fritz Baffour, and I've got a super guest today, Kofi Bawuah, who is steeped in football. He's done every single aspect of football. He's played, he's been trained as a coach, he's done football management in terms of events and everything. And he was now telling us about the social impact of football on the society. We know for a fact that when a match is being played, a high-profile match is being played in Ghana, the streets are either full of people watching on the big screen or it gets very quiet. And when a goal is scored, then you know that something is happening. We're crazy about football in Ghana. We've been so for a very long time. And Kofi is telling us about the mechanics and the dynamics of football in a society. Kofi, so you were telling us about preparing the young ones and all that. At a certain time in Ghana, we had what we call cold football.
Yes, Uncle.
And it led to great players.
Yes.
I mean, all the old players who won the laurels for the Black Stars 4 times were ostensibly came from Colts.
Yes, sir.
And I remember watching the young Abedi Pele when I came back in 1981 when he helped the Black Stars win the Africa Cup in 1982.
Yeah.
He was in Tamale Secondary School, either government secondary school or Tamale Secondary School, one of them. And
Yes,
he was very well educated, very dedicated, and he became really one of our real first professional footballers.
Yes, Uncle.
So what you're talking about is can you expand from there?
Sure, Uncle. That be the story is even something that I know very much because in 1982, my dad and Mr. S.K. Menu, who at the time was at the GFA and who was, I believe, responsible for Abedi Pele, was taking care of Abedi Pele at the time, had wanted to use him as a guest player for Kotoko in the 82 African Cup. And a warning came from Tamale that if he did that, then they were going to be in serious trouble. Abedi was exceptional, as the part of the 82 team. So, Uncle, I mean, if you look at the structure that we had back in the day, we had something called Munchendi, which was a 7-a-side. Right. And that was for the younger ones, the real young ones. They played in a very small area. And then we had the coast system, right? And the coast system, what affected the coast system was that we were using height.
I see.
Rather than ages. All right. So you could be 22 years old. If you're under 5 feet, we're using 4'8" at the time. 4 feet, 8 inches.
I hope people out there are listening to
this.
Yes,
sir. So if you were over 5 feet and you were 30 years old, you could play coast. So when football was progressing, it got to a time where we realized that, I mean, the guys really playing football were getting to the end of their careers. That is when Kotoko went for the under-20 system. And then Haas also revived the Araras system. And at the time, Uncle Hariza Kaur had also come to Olympics.
You're right.
So he had started also working on that. So what we've been saying all along is that if you go everywhere, England, I think in 2011, said that they were going to put together, they were training 7,000 coaches. They did the 7,000 coaches to put them into schools because they realized that it was the schools that were producing the players. And if the players didn't have coaching, proper coaching on the onset, then it affects. Uncle, look, when past couple of years, they won the under 17, won the under 20, they went to the final of the World Cup. So we believe that education and sport go hand in hand. We believe that the way we are working on football in Ghana at this particular moment is not helping us because we've taken education away from sport. I mean, if you look at the quiz that's happening now, Uncle, look at how people have gone, are behind their schools. Similar can be done in sport. We just have to have the thinkers to put the infrastructure together and move it forward.
I've got to interject. I went to I went to Prempeh College for one reason.
Yes, sir.
Because of sport.
Wow.
Because in 1963, when I went to Prempeh College, Prempeh had some very great athletes who were national athletes. We had Owusu Mensah, who did the 100, 200, and 400.
Wow.
At that time, it was 100 yards, 220, and 440. He ran for Ghana in the Tokyo Olympics. All right, we had Oni Frimpong of blessed memory, who actually jumped, was in the finals of the long jump in Mexico City in 1968. We had Joshua Owusu, who won a gold medal in the triple jump in Auckland, in Commonwealth Games and all that. Yes, and they all came from the schools. And if you went to even Intercorp football, all right, the stadium was packed. So I don't know where it's gone now.
Cool. And they even have players who were in school who were playing for the Premier League teams.
Yes.
You know,
I know a lot of them.
They had a lot of them.
Yeah, Robert Foley, you know,
I
the
think
Nyaku brothers.
Yes, Uncle. I think that we definitely need to go back to the basics, but add some modernity to it. Yeah. But then let education be the cornerstone of sports. That, I mean, even the UN, what do you call it? Was it the Millennium Goals? Sports was one of the poverty alleviation strategies that was used, because they always know that once the sport, you will get the children. Once you get the children, anything that you need to impact to them, you will be able, because they want to play sport. I mean, most kids are told.
So how do we get this thing implemented? Because the ideas are there, but it's the implementation. So tell us about what your suggestions are, because there are people out there listening to this program who can actually then take the ball and run with it.
Well, I think that, Uncle, we need to go back to the Ghana Education Service and let them enact the laws. I mean, they have laws. I think the last time I checked, which is about 5-6 years ago, physical education was compulsory, still compulsory in schools. But lately, I mean, schools, are built in house. I mean, schools are being done in houses. So obviously, where are the kids going to train at? You know, so these are some of the things that need to be looked at. That the Ghana Education Service needs to get into partnership with private sector and to see how they can, because even companies, Uncle, companies that sell food, drinks, water, the kids are there. If you do Intercorp, you are guaranteed every school is coming with their population, and definitely they are going to buy water. They will buy, So we just need to strategize properly. But then, the Ghana Education Service needs to make sure that these things are done yearly, just like we used to do back in the day. And then data is kept, Uncle. We need to keep data.
Records, yeah.
We need to keep records, and that's one of the problems that we're encountering. That there's no data, that you are not able to, because football and sport is scientific now. So anything that you do, you have to definitely use data.
Yeah, because I found out that they have people who specialize in watching football matches, and then coming up with the analysis and everything, replays and things like that.
Yes, Uncle. Yes, Uncle. And also, even in the picking of a team, you can apply science, Uncle. We know that our brothers from the north mostly are tall. Right. Can we train them as goalkeepers? We know we have people from the midsection, sometimes the Central Region, Ashanti, very fast. Can we train them as wingers? Midfielders, we know, the typical Ghana boy in Jamestown is a ball juggler.
Yeah.
Can we train ball jugglers and then fit them into positions? But these things cannot be done without science. You will need to have data to back it up, to say that, listen, as a country, we are trying to train goalkeepers, and we've gone to the north and we are picking kids from the ages of 7 to say 12, and we're giving ourselves the next 10 years. Okay. Going into, Western region, looking for wingers.
Yeah.
But all these things have to be backed by data. And, some of these things, when it's being done, or some of these projects, there are organizations out there that will support. So it has to be done with government or the Ghana Education Service in order for you to, get the maximum effect.
Glad to hear that. But you said something that's very interesting. You're talking about the coaches.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I talked to a sports specialist, and he was telling us that if you don't have enough bodies on the ground as coaches, you're not going to get it done. How do we train coaches? How do we train even referees?
Yes,
because they have an impact on the game, and the auxiliaries to the actual football players. Yes, how do we do that?
Yes, Uncle. I think that these things have to be intentional. Right. There has to be an intentional plan to do these things. Now, for example, we have a lot of players coming out of football. We have people who are in academia who like football. I mean, for example, what's his name? The Kotoko coach, who's now under 17, Professor. I've forgotten his name, but he's from academia. Uncle, it has to be intentional, where the country decides to train coaches that will work, because it's the first training, the initial training that they get before they move into these academies. Those are the ones that are most effective, So these coaches need to be trained at that level. And most of the time, Uncle, you have coaches in the Ghana Education Service. You have coaches teachers who want to take up additional profession. Once they are in, they work with the children. It is much, much easier to give them an added skill, which will also give them more income. So this has to be a plan that, maybe Ghana Education Service, together with the GFA, together with the National Sports Authority, and then the Ministry of Sports and Recreation, to look at. That we are going to have a system
really,
to train coaches.
Sports is a development tool.
It is.
And more so football, because of the kind of love that Ghanaians have for football.
Sure. It is a developmental tool, Uncle. It is a developmental tool. I mean, if you have any message to give to any kids in, any area, you bring a football, put the football there, they'll play afterwards, they will sit and listen to you. Anything that you need to tell them. I mean, most politicians use that. Remember, when we get into elections, then they start buying footballs and jerseys and stuff to go to their constituencies, because they know that.
And they organize football tournaments.
Football tournaments, Uncle. Right.
Now, we've talked about that. We'll go back to a lot of the things you talked about. But what I'm very concerned about, women in football.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? And I want you to tell us a little bit more about your ideas and opinions about how we can improve women's football in this country, because, we are gender sensitive.
Yes,
and we really know that if women are not part and parcel of the dynamics of society, that society is not going to progress.
No,
women are vital,
very important,
to development in a society. So,
right. Thank you so much, Uncle. I think that, just like I said, these are strategies and plans and projects that need to be put together. But it has to be done with education, because it would help to get, girls into schools, train them into football, if that is what they want to stay into. Right. Now, if you look at the World Bank, if you look at the UN strategies, there's a lot of funding. There's a lot of funding for girl-child initiatives. There's a lot of funding for girl education. I mean, even in what do you call it? In health, Uncle. Yeah. There's a lot that can be done using football. And, once we get girls into football, Uncle, it helps to bring them out, the confidence part of them. I mean, like the Muslim girls that we went in to train, footballers, that we wanted players that would be able to play for the Kotokos and stuff. But then when we went into the school, we realized that the enthusiasm from the girls was there. I mean, the moment we bring the ball, they are already dressed. And they have the hijabs. Yeah. But then they were more excited to play. So I feel that, Uncle, this has to be a well-structured program under the Ghana Education Service and then the Ghana Football Association. I believe they've started a program with the referees called Catch Them Young, which is good. But then the ethics of it, Uncle, that's one of the things that I believe needs to be instituted, that once you are a referee, once you decide to be a referee, yes, you can support Team B. But if you're refereeing a match for Team B, use the rules. Don't be a referee and then at the end of the day, put the stuff aside. The same can be said, Uncle, that sport or football can be used to train the ladies in different things. It would be used to attract them into school, and then any other knowledge that wants to be impacted. I mean, midwifery, anything that they need to be taught. So I honestly think that our foundation, which is against discrimination, which is fighting racism.
Right. Tell us a little bit more about your foundation.
Yes, Uncle. The foundation that was set up basically to let the world know about Arthur Wharton and his exploits. Yeah. We realized that Arthur Wharton went through various levels of discrimination and racism, and all these things are happening now. What can we use his name? What can we use his image? What can we use his story? We can use his story as one to inspire the next generation, especially the kids from Ghana, that listen, the world's first black professional footballer came from Ghana. He was just like you, and you can also do better. We have also used the foundation's work to bring awareness to the prevalence of teenage pregnancy in Jamestown, where we organize things like football tournaments and stuff, just to sensitize the youth about football tournaments. Now we are going to the education part, where we said that for the 160th, our express aim is to put up the football museum. Right. We realized that we have to work with government. We have to work with Ghana Education Service. We have to work with even the Museums and Monuments Board, because, Uncle, we are not academics in terms of, putting together we have an idea. We need the right people to be able to deliver the work. So this is the point that we are. Hopefully, on the 2nd of December, when Ghana, the Black Queens play the Lionesses in England.
That's an announcement that you've got to make. Tell us about it.
Yes, Uncle. Yes, the Black Queens are playing the Lionesses in England on the 2nd of December. The last time Ghana played England, which was the 1-1, that's the Black Stars. Yeah. Right. Arthur Wharton was honored on the pitch that day, and that's the only time that Arthur Wharton was honored between the Ghana and England game. So we are hoping, or we are pushing for some recognition, a minute applause, or some recognition for Arthur during the game. We are also aligning ourselves with the Black Queens and their mission. We realize that they're not just doing football, but they want to sensitize the girl child about the opportunities and the advantages that they have, and then use their stories, the stories of the female footballers, to push them to attain, whatever dreams that they have. So we are aligning with the Black Queens, and we are going to be running programs with them to sensitize the girls, about football, and that it is okay if you want to play football. There's nothing wrong. The stigma about you being a tomboy and all that, those things have no place in the game right now. We need diversity. We need them to play. So we as a foundation are keen on using our support for girls football to help develop the game in Ghana.
Right. That's beautiful of you. Yes, now, women's football. I'm still on women's football. Sure. We have a league.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that we're doing enough for the league? We're not going to offend anybody, tell us about your
I think that, Uncle, there are challenges. There are challenges, but I think we can do more. They need to think outside the box. Like I said, when it comes to women, there are so many avenues that you can bring to bear. And if you are looking at football just from a sporting angle, you will be very, very disappointed, in the sense that you'll be only looking at it from a very small angle. There are so many things that can be done. Childbirth, maternal health, food, all sorts of security, all sorts of things can be used to generate funding for the women's game. Yeah. And they have to get creative, Uncle. Can they decide to play at a particular time when they know that most women will have time to watch?
Right.
Can they do things that will encourage young girls to get into the game? Can they offer some incentives whereby can the GFA get into partnership with some schools to say that if girls want to play football, can you give them certain scholarships? So things have to be intentional, and this would help to improve the game. But it always has to start from the schools, Uncle, if you ask me.
All right. We're here on ZFM 101.9, and the program is I Have a Story to Tell. I'm your host. My name is Fritz Baffour, and my guest is Kofi Bawuah. Kofi Bawuah is guy steeped in football. He's telling us wonderful, wonderful aspects of the game and how it impacts on society. That's a story that he's telling us, and I know he's got more to tell us. But let's have some music. What's the third selection that you have?
That's my mom's favorite. Lovely woman. I wanted to dedicate this to her.
All right.
I mean, the music depicts her. My mom is calm, very, very quiet. She's beloved, and I wanted to dedicate this to her that I used to listen to.
That's great.